Friday, October 13th, 1307. King Philip Roman IV of France arrested every Templar in his kingdom on the same day. Within a century, one of history's richest organizations left behind almost nothing. The story everyone knows is simple. The Knights Templar were crushed. Philip wanted their money. He took it. He won. Case closed. Except that's not what happened at all. The financial trail doesn't match the narrative. The gold didn't end up where it should have. And the disappearance of billions in medieval currency spread across dozens of kingdoms suggests something far more organized than a single king's land grab. By 1307, the Templars had been banking for nearly 2 centuries. They held deposits from kings, nobles, and the church itself. They financed crusades. They moved money across continents before banks existed. Their network of houses stretched from London to Jerusalem. Conservative estimates put their liquid assets at the equivalent of hundreds of millions in modern currency. Philip's arrest was theatrical, simultaneous raids across France. Templars dragged from their commanderies at dawn, torture chambers, forced confessions of heresy, charges historians now dismiss as political theater. The king needed money, his treasury was depleted, war was expensive. The Templars were wealthy and vulnerable. The math was simple. Here's where the official story breaks. Philip seized French Templar assets. Documents show he recovered significant sums, but the total fell far short of what financial records indicated the order possessed. Thousands of gold coins, yes. Estates, yes. But the real wealth, the deposits, the loans outstanding, the liquid reserves had already moved. The Templar network didn't collapse overnight. It fragmented. Some houses in Scotland and Portugal remained active for decades after 1307. Others simply dissolved into the fabric of local nobility. But the money had already been distributed. This wasn't panic. It was coordination. Evidence suggests the Templars saw this coming. By the 1290s, Philip had already targeted the order's satellite operations. He'd borrowed heavily from them and refused to repay. The Templars had historians and administrators. They understood political risk. They began liquidating assets years before the arrests. Between 1300 and 1307, Templar financial activity shows a pattern. Large deposits were called in. Debts owed to the order were suddenly collected or forgiven, transferred to allied noble houses. Funds moved to commanderies in regions beyond Philip's reach. It wasn't invisible. It was just dispersed. Scotland became a sanctuary. The Scottish Templar network maintained operations despite papal dissolution orders. They fought at Bannockburn in 1314 under different names, integrated into Scottish nobility. Their wealth didn't vanish. It was rebranded. It became part of the fabric of Scottish aristocracy. Portugal offers another clue. The Portuguese crown officially dissolved the Templars in 1319, but immediately reconstituted them as the Order of Christ with identical properties, identical operations, identical wealth. The transition was seamless. It wasn't a collapse. It was a rebrand. Cyprus held Templar reserves. When the order was formally dissolved in 1312 at the Council of Vienne, the Church awarded Cypriot holdings to the Knights Hospitaller. Except many assets had already been quietly transferred to local Cypriot nobility and merchant families with Templar ties. The Hospitallers received property, but not the liquid reserves. The real explanation isn't dramatic. It's systematic. The Templar leadership orchestrated a controlled dissolution of their financial empire. They didn't resist Philip. They cooperated publicly while quietly dismantling their centralized structure. Assets flowed to allied noble families. Operational knowledge transferred to successor organizations. The wealth didn't vanish. It was inherited. This explains why Philip's seizure felt incomplete. He was chasing an organization that had already transformed itself. He captured the structure, but not the substance. He took the real estate, but not the capital. He won the battle, but faced an opponent that had already surrendered voluntarily. Historians debate how much wealth survived. Some estimates suggest 30 to 40% of Templar assets remained traceable. The rest entered the private holdings of European nobility, documented in their own records, no longer labeled Templar. The money didn't disappear. It was absorbed. What makes this a financial collapse rather than a successful exit strategy is perspective. The order itself did vanish. Its unified structure, its operational coherence, its political independence, all gone. But the wealth didn't follow that trajectory. The money survived by ceasing to be Templar. This pattern repeats throughout financial history. Organizations collapse. Their assets don't disappear, they redistribute. Executives move to new firms. Capital flows to connected parties. The system survives even when its institutions fail. Wealth and power have continuity that structures lack. The Templars understood something modern regulators still struggle with. You can't destroy wealth by destroying institutions. You can only redirect it. Philip believed he was confiscating billions. He was actually formalizing a transfer that had already occurred. The Templars didn't lose, they evolved. October 13th, 1307 marks the end of the Knights Templar as a unified order. It marks the beginning of their wealth's diaspora into European nobility. The billions didn't vanish. They were laundered through the corridors of medieval power and emerged cleaner on the other side. That's not a financial collapse. That's a masterclass in institutional survival. Subscribe. Each week, we uncover how the powerful disappear their wealth and the systems designed to stop them that never do.